Hello. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to this special live. We are in a meeting here today, and it is giving me great honor to welcome beautiful, intelligent, yes, charismatic young woman from Tobago. She hails from the east of Tobago. Dr. Faith B.Yisrael, as we will get to know about her this evening, we will get to know the true woman. Yes, fabulous. This is my way of introducing a young woman, yes, that I know before she even came into the world. Thanks be to God because of the relationship that I had with her mom and her grandmother, and even with her father. Yes. And this evening, I am so proud to be a part of this gathering. So I can introduce to you Dr. Faith B.Yisrael. She is Brebner, and she's also Mrs. Israel. This evening, here we are. Welcome, Dr. Faith.
Thank you, Miss Cora. Thank you so much for this invitation and this opportunity to have a conversation with you. Thank you so much.
And I want to thank you too for accepting the invitation and to grace this platform that this evening I give God all the praise and all the glory for his sanctification and for the chance so that other young people can see a young politician, know as you are a politician. And at this time, Dr. Faith B.Yisrael, tell us who you are.
Oh, wow. That is
I
where
know.
do I start? Well, I was born as Faith Brebner in Belgarden. Grew up in Belgarden, Tobago. Tobago is in my mind, the better of the Twin Island states of Trinidad and Tobago.
Don't go for any war.
No, but you need to have pride in where you are from, or no one else will. And that is something I am very proud of, that I was born and raised in Tobago. Who am I? I am somebody I love life. I go by the mantra that says that I should do everything that I can do to develop or help other people. And when I do that, then I would get whatever blessing is there for me. So that is really how I function. That is what determines what I do every day. And that's just me, somebody who is into politics because I want to make Tobago better. As I said, I grew up in Belgarden. Went to
Where did
Belgarden.
you, Belgarden School, yes?
Right, yes. So I went to Belgarden preschool, where my mom actually was the teacher at Belgarden preschool. Yes.
Yes. So you can't misbehave no time.
I could not. I could not. I think I went to school at the age of 2, and she had me very, very close from since then. I went to Belgarden Anglican after that for 7 years.
The
All the
only
way.
school in Belgarden.
Yeah, that is the only the only, what is it called? Elementary school
Yes.
in Belgarden. And then after what used to be what is now C in Trinidad and Tobago, but it was common entrance in my day. I was one of those who, that was the year where they did streaming, meaning no matter what school you passed for, because I lived close to Roxborough Sec, I went to Roxborough Sec. And I spent 5 years there. Very proud
So
of that
I
decision.
want to pause a little bit. I want to emphasize
Uh-huh.
schooling. Well, you went to Belgarden Anglican School, and
Mm-hmm.
you were taught by teachers from the vicinity, even I believe one from Mount St. George. Name the
The
villages in the
teachers,
east.
well, I mean, we all know the major teachers from Miss Bonus, who Miss Bonus looks like she's still, 30, 40
Teaching.
years ago. Miss Bonus looks like she's still teaching. Miss Melville from Roxborough, Brita Melville was one of my teachers. Miss Yvonne Phillips was one of my teachers.
She's
Miss
from Mount St.
Charles
George.
from Mount St. George. Miss Phillips is from Mount St. George. Miss Charles from Pembroke. Who else did I miss? Those were some of the main ones
Miss
that were
Dick.
cool. Miss Dick, how could I forget Miss
How
Dick?
could you
And
forget that?
how could I Miss Dick? I apologize. And Miss Dick is actually still teaching, as a matter
Yes,
of
she's
fact.
still teaching
Miss
and she's teaching music.
Right. So but she also teaches remedial stuff. So you can go to her for music, piano, and that kind of thing. But if you're having issues with math and English and those things, Miss Dick is still the best remedial teacher that you could send your child to, even to this day. You
So
know, those old school
name a male
teachers.
teacher. Was Addison Toppin teaching you? Teaching bell
No,
grandmother?
I don't think at my time I remember any male teachers at Bell Garden Anglican. No, I think the
No.
male teachers came in later at Roxborough Sec.
Dinoon was the principal, Mr. Dinoon?
Yes, at one point, yes,
Well, he's
early,
a
early
male
on.
teacher.
Oh, but you don't really think that's true.
I was
You
saying that
don't
they
really
say
think
principal
of
is the
the
boss.
yes, you don't really think of the principal as a teacher, but you're right. You're right.
Yes, yes. Well, we wanna lift the teachers that you just name up because they are the ones that started you out after your mom grow you up like a kindergarten homeschooling because she has to be mom and teacher at the same time. Yeah,
True.
yeah, you understand what I'm saying? So we give God praise and thanks for your mom, and she's still teaching, isn't she?
She is still teaching at the Little Angels preschool in Pembroke. She's still teaching.
So you had a father live in built in, or you were raised by a single mom
Well, I would not say I was raised by a single mom because I was raised within a
with your
family
grandmother?
where I had my grandmother was there, my grandfather was there until he died. My uncles were there, and then my mom remarried a little later. So my stepdad has actually been in my life for as far back as I can remember. And because I am now a little older and so forth, I've actually been able to know my father a little bit now
Yes,
too.
I know
And
you
he
very
is
well.
Sandy from Plymouth. Everybody knows him. He used to be a police.
In Roxborough.
Coincidentally, coincidentally, I think my mom loved the policemen because my stepfather was a police and my father.
Well, there was a time in our lives because I want to be very brave myself because
Hmm.
my kids are also for a policeman, my daughter.
Policeman.
Yes, and that is how I get to be so close and know your father. And that's how
Hmm.
your mom and I, we used to be hanging out with like
The policeman.
police. And there was a time when police and soldiers, they were the men of choice. Yeah,
Okay.
they were the ones that believe in that they're better than sliced bread. And we were wooed. Yeah, we were wooed in that way. So
Hmm.
we give praise and thanks for that time.
True.
Now, Dr. Faith, we are going to move from elementary school into your high school, which is Roxborough Secondary School. And why I
Yes.
want to speak about Roxborough Composite, or I knew it as Roxborough Secondary, I am a
Secondary.
product.
Hmm.
I am also a product of that school. I want to let people know that not because we're not seeing great results right now, it doesn't mean that Roxborough didn't have a very progressive high school. And
True.
they had it down as if it was one of the worst high schools in Tobago. But as a product myself, I know I have you and I have many others, but here
Hmm.
you are. Let us hear something about Roxborough Secondary School.
Well, I think that the experiment that they did that year, which was to stream, so even though technically when you looked at the grades of the students who went to school that year, we all were supposed to pass for bishops and those schools. Because they gave Roxborough Sec an opportunity to shine, we proved that anything good can come out of Roxborough Sec if you give the school the resources. The
The
resources
raw
meaning
material.
exactly. If you give, because the teachers were the same teachers who were there from before. Because when we came in, we did not come in with brand new teachers. The teachers were the same teachers that had been there before. But I think at that time, because they thought we were special, they gave us more. So we got, new furniture and books and all of those things. But we did well. We did well because the school was given the resources. And I think what we are seeing now is the fact that one, they are sending all of the students or most of the students who are classified as remedial students to this school, and they are not giving the school the resources to then treat with the needs of those students. So that is why what you are seeing now is not the best, or but even though you don't hear it very frequently, there are quite a bit of goodness that comes out of there still. But we tend to always focus on the bad. The negative news is what makes publicity. But I would tell anyone, the day that Roxborough Sec actually gets the resources that it needs to treat with the students that it gets, it would be as any other school. It will be as good as any other, of those quote unquote town schools that we tend to look up to right now.
Because in my time, what they did, they just sent teachers that just finished high school themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have the backbone.
Right.
They wasn't ready. Some of them were so sexy. The women dressing so sexy, coming to teach boys that already mature and
Mm.
looking for what they believe these ladies can offer. The men, the young men that just finished high school, the same age as the girls
As the
that in
students.
Roxborough Secondary School. Because if you never heard of it, Roxborough Secondary School, when the first students should have started high school, the school was not ready.
Okay.
So students went in a year older.
Older. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and some of them many months older than they
Mm.
would have done.
Okay.
And teachers, some of them lost their minds. They,
Mm-hmm.
instead of coming to teach the kids, they came and they abused the kids.
Did their own things, unfortunately.
Another thing that I have to ask you is, in your time, how was agriculture being taught and accepted in Roxborough Secondary School?
Well, agri was actually a big chunk of the curriculum. I did agri in up to exam, which included the theory, the stuff you do on paper. But everybody who did agri, you had a bed, several beds that you had to actually cultivate. So the part of the project, part of the learning was actually doing the work that farmers do and so forth. And agri was actually one of the subjects then that we looked up to, because you actually, and that's the other thing with agri, you came out of school with agri and they classified agri as almost two subjects. So when I came out of school, for example, and I would say this proudly, I came out of Roxborough Sec with what, 8 or 9 subjects, which was
Because of agri and Spanish?
because I did well. I didn't do Spanish for exam. I did, the math, the English, the agri, the POB, POA, the biology,
Ah,
chemistry. All of those subjects were available, and because we were capable, because the teachers were willing to work with us, we did very well. History, and I would remember, I would continually speak about history. For example, Mr. James Jack.
yes.
Everybody know him as Chippy Mac.
Chippy Mac,
No.
yes. Chippy
Mr.
Mac
Jack
is
was,
Chippy Mac is who to Joel Jack?
I think it's his uncle, if I'm
Our
not
father.
mistaken. Uncle or father? No, it is his father. It
Yes.
is the sister that is, yeah, it's
His
his
aunt,
father.
yes.
Yes. Mr. Jack was so dedicated to the students that we would have free extra lessons every weekend with Mr. Jack. He was so dedicated that when we were preparing for exam, we had gone through so many past papers and so forth, that by the time we actually did history exam, we had seen probably every single past paper that had ever been given as an exam paper up to that point. So the students were ready. I remember Miss Carrington, Merle Carrington, who was the math teacher. She would have math classes in bishops and so forth. And the bishop students would come to us for our math notes, for our history notes, for our chemistry
Wow.
notes, for our, because the teachers in Roxborough actually gave notes when their teachers didn't give as detailed notes and so forth. So I remember sharing my notes with students from those schools. And
Wow.
it's little things like this that made a big difference. We had the dedicated teachers, we were given the resources, and the entire group of us came out at the probably at the top of every department in the THA right now is
Yes.
a product of Roxborough Sec and a product of that year, if I'm not mistaken. So we did
Wow.
well. Roxborough Sec
Wow.
did
Wow.
very, very well.
That
Yeah.
sounds awesome. Because I just want to ask you, was so you did crop husbandry in agriculture. You
Mhm.
did you did animal
I
husbandry.
personally, I personally didn't do animal husbandry, but other students were able to do that as a separate kind of entity. So I focus mainly on the crops part of it.
So the reason why I bring in agriculture in the curriculum and in the conversation.
Hmm.
Do you like where we are seeing that so much money was spent on students in agricultural teaching and agricultural classes, and know where agriculture is in our country and how we can't feed ourselves when we were
Right.
taught the best?
It is a travesty. It is really disappointing that this is where we are as Tobagonians, because most people who know about the history of Tobago would tell you that Tobago was the breadbasket of the Caribbean. We used to send food to Trinidad. We used to send food up the islands to the other, to the other countries. So it is really, really sad that at this point we are importing most of our food. And that is why, for example, at the beginning of this COVID-19 thing where people were sent home and so forth, one of the things that our political party did was actually source seedlings and distribute them free of charge to members of the public, because people are home, people are frustrated, people are realizing that they're not sure where the next paycheck is coming from and that kind of thing. And this was an opportunity to channel that kind of energy, channel whatever frustration you may have been, you may be having, channel that uncertainty, and know that you are doing something that would enable you to feed yourself. Even if nothing else works, you could feed yourself. And we recognized very quickly after sending out the notice that we were giving these seedlings, the volume of requests that we got, we were completely blown away by the number of people who were interested in the seedlings and interested in planting. So I think that is something that we have to continue tapping into. People are now doing it. People are now way more interested in it, and we just need to cultivate that a little bit more. The other thing I recognize, though, Miss Cora, is that shortly after we started giving out seedlings, practically all of the seedlings on the island were finished, which says something. It
Wow.
means that we really are not producing the kind of agricultural tools and equipment and material that is needed to really give us self-sufficiency. And that I thought was like, wow, if little PDP, who just decided to buy a couple thousand seedlings and that depleted the entire seedlings count for the island, that says
That
something.
says something.
That says something, and it says that we need to ensure that we are in a better place than this next year, next month, next week. We can't continue down this line at all as an island.
Thank you so much. We really jump ahead there because we have so many areas to cover,
Cover.
but we are still finding out who is Faith. Who is Faith Brebner Israel?
Mhm.
So here we are. We give credit to Roxborough Secondary School. Now
Certainly.
you have acquired a higher form of education, that you
Mm-hmm.
had to travel abroad,
Yes.
an international education, that you travel abroad on your own. You didn't move with your mother, you didn't move with your father, and you
Mm-hmm.
didn't stay in New York City. Where you went, I visited with my daughter when she was doing her interviews to get into medical school, I believe.
Okay, okay.
And we traveled that area. It was a very, very, very treacherous time because it was snowing, and it's hills and valleys and hills and valleys, and they did
Yeah.
some work. So you have traveled there and acquired that education. Can you? No, 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 no. I think I'm jumping. No, I'm not jumping. Let's talk about your higher education that you acquire. So now you have become a professional, a
Mm-hmm.
doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So yes, even though, let me one clarification though, even though I did not stay in New York, where the bulk of my family was, I actually had family in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is
Oh,
where
you
I
did?
went to school.
Nice.
I did, yes. That is where Auntie Verna lives. Auntie Verna
Oh,
Critchlow,
I remember her. I
yes.
remember
Yes,
her.
yes,
I
yes.
wonder if it's she who used to work with Dr. Critchlow. I
I
don't know, but
think
one of the
so.
yes, I remember
I think
her.
so.
As a little girl, I do. She was gorgeous. Let's go
Uh-huh.
ahead.
Yeah, so I actually went and I got a whole lot of support. So I thank God I wasn't by myself completely away from family and that kind of thing there. So I went to Pittsburgh. I did a bachelor's in neuroscience. I went to the University of Pittsburgh. And neuroscience is, of course, the study of the brain and the spinal cord and that kind of thing,
So
the
you could
entire
have become a
nervous
medical
system.
doctor.
Well, that was the plan. That actually was the plan. When I left Tobago, the plan was to go to medical school first and to then become a neurosurgeon. Because I think I remember hearing a news in Trinidad and Tobago where it seemed like the single neurosurgeon that we had was going on vacation. So there was a newscast telling people, be careful, be careful, be careful. The one neurosurgeon we have is going on holiday. Be careful. And I thought to myself, what kind of mess is that? I need to become a neurosurgeon because we
That's
can't
right.
only have one.
You want to be needed.
Exactly. So when I left Tobago, I went and I did neurosurgery, neuroscience as my bachelor. So I have a bachelor's degree in neuroscience. And then while working,
Congratulations.
thank you, thank you. While working, while being in school, I was able to connect with a professor who worked at the medical school. So he taught at the medical school. So coming from Tobago, not having a lot of money. By the way, I actually got a THA scholarship to do that bachelor's degree in neuroscience. I was one of those where Mr. Hachoy Charles, bless his heart, bless his
Bless his
administration.
heart.
Yeah,
Oh
bless his heart.
how I want him to be one
To
of the
be,
guests very soon on my
maybe he
show.
will, maybe he will. And so I
Can you
got
help me? Can you help me to get in touch?
I could try. I
He's
could
my
definitely
friend.
try.
He's my
Mhm.
friend. I sent out an invitation, but I don't
Patient.
know
He
if he's
has
going
the
to accept. Yeah.
Well, we would see. We would see. So got the scholarship from the THA, did the neuroscience, and then because I met a doctor who was working in the medical school, I was able to learn quite a bit about what medicine was, and I was even able to see actual neurosurgery happen and so forth. And
Mm.
that made me realize that I didn't really want to do medicine. But you come from Tobago where if you're quote unquote bright, the thing that you go to school for is to become a doctor. I mean, we didn't really have many choices that
And we
we
still have
knew about.
we are still in need of
We still
neurosurgery.
are.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. We still are. Oh my goodness.
We still
So,
don't have. I don't know how many we have. I think I will look it up
yes,
and see how many we have, and we
actually.
need.
We still do. We still do, for unfortunately. But having worked with him and recognizing that I could actually go to the Graduate School of Public Health, because at that point I figured out what public health was, and I recognized that I
No, no
actually,
sanitary inspector.
Well, it could have been all of that was included.
All of that is included.
All of that is included. But then I realized that there was a difference between medicine and public health. And where my mind was, I was actually more thinking about public health, but the only thing I knew coming from Tobago was medicine. So I was glad that I was able to make that distinction. And then I applied to the Graduate School of Public Health at Pittsburgh, and I was able to do the master's degree and the doctoral degree in public health at Pittsburgh.
So in a short stint here, you trying to tell young people right now, kids right now, that you don't have to be so pressured to become
Mhm.
a medical doctor. There is science in
Exactly.
in the field that you are qualified in.
Yes, and this whole thing with COVID, for example, they're recognizing that yes, the medical doctors are important, but it is actually the people who
Science.
have the epidemiology experience and the people who have the biochemistry experience and the virology experience and all of those other things that is critical to treating with this COVID-19 that we're dealing with. So no, you don't have to go to medical school, but there's an entire field out there that we can get people in that is critical, that's needed, and you could find work even in Tobago because we
Even in
need people
Tobago, because
here.
we need it right now here
Yeah,
more than ever. What I'm gonna
exactly.
take you a little backward a little bit is to ask you, is that is that um is that precious gift of getting a scholarship still in place in Tobago, and who can get it, who gets it, and is it a fair play? Can we talk?
Well, well, I don't know that it is. There are opportunities to get scholarships in Tobago, but it is not as available as it used to be then. In terms of, for example, now because we have tertiary education free in Trinidad and Tobago, if you go, they would tell you
Go
that
to Trinidad.
go to Trinidad or stay in Tobago because we have some campuses in Tobago. So they would tell you that instead of giving you a scholarship to go somewhere else. They would also tell you that it has to be in one of their priority areas, whatever that means. And when you really look at the
Priority means, let us deliberate here. Priority means when you finish, you have to come back and be of service to the THA.
yes, but that was the case back then too. Even when I did it, I had to sign a contract saying when I was done, I would come back.
And you
So
did.
that has been I actually as soon as I graduated, I was back in Tobago. As a matter of fact, I did my doctoral dissertation studies in Tobago. So I had spent maybe the year and a half, 2 years, even before graduating, spending a whole lot of that time in Tobago doing research. As soon as I graduated, just packed everything and came back.
And went to service with the Tobago House of Assembly.
Yes, when I came back, I actually worked as a public health specialist. I served, my official title was public health specialist, but I really served as a technical advisor to the then Secretary for Health, Health and Social Services. That was Mr. Oswald Williams at
Oh,
the
Mr.
time.
Williams at that time,
Yeah,
yes.
yes. So I came back in 2007, middle to late 2007 is when I came back. Hmm.
So we want to make this clear
Hmm.
that it was not Mr. London that started
No, no,
grants.
no. Oh, of course not. Absolutely, it was not Mr. London that started giving grants to students or anything like that. Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I think when Mr. London and they came in, they are the ones who made a big stink about the grants that were given to students like me. And several public servants actually got into quite a bit of trouble because people like me were given grants back then. So,
What do
no,
you mean
this
by
is
people like you? Explain.
as in because there were a group of us who had gotten scholarships, and there was a I guess they were trying to make the case that the scholarships were given poorly or that there was some what is the word, impropriety with the distribution of money and so forth. So at least two or three public servants who I am aware of were sent on suspension and all sorts of things because of it. Years and years and years later, they had to bring them all back and pay them all of their money and so forth because they recognized nothing bad was done. But
Hmm.
yeah, but because I was given a scholarship and others like me were given a scholarship, their lives were practically
I
ruined.
still getting a kind of brain washing here right now.
Mm-hmm.
People like you want PNM. That's the reason why they said that you should not have gotten it, or your mother
Well,
wasn't poor enough. No, 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 no,
well,
no.
I
But
honestly do. I cannot say honestly that I do that I know what was their justification. No, it probably was because everybody who knows my mother knows that she's not parent. Everybody who knows
yes,
that no, knows that she has not hidden about that. She has not, she's very vocal
I
about
know.
that fact. So maybe that was one of the reasons. Now, granted, as a young person at the time, I didn't know any of that stuff. I was just trying to get to school. I was just trying to fulfill what I thought was my destiny, kind of thing. So I don't know. But when I came back, though, I was able to get a job. Although I was the one who had to come back and show them, hey, I got a scholarship from the THA. This is the letter that says I have to come back and work. I'm here to work. So you kind of have to give me a job, kind of thing, which they did, and I'm very thankful for.
Round of applause. Round of applause for coming back, because many people at that time they wasn't coming back after they finished
Hmm.
graduating, after they received their scholarship. So a
Right.
round of applause for you and your commitment, and how you remain transparent and honest in
Hmm.
what you did. So we don't want to be surprised as how Watson Duke shocked my audience.
No, no, no.
You ever was a teacher at any time?
Yes, actually,
Please,
I.
please grace the people to show people how many hats you have worn since
Hmm.
you finished Roxborough Secondary School, and your journey for your education, and your honesty of coming back, and
Hmm.
what you did to make young people be better for today. And I want you to know that you have impressed me, and you
Oh
have
well, thank
impressed
you.
a lot of people,
Coming
because
from you,
you
that
have
means
done
a
so
lot.
much at your age. And it's marvelous to know that we have someone from the East,
Hmm.
because we run competition all our life. Country booking.
True. So
Country
true.
booking. For sports,
Hmm.
we go to Scarborough, we have to fight that form of tribalism
Exactly.
and exceptionalism.
Hmm.
And if
Hmm.
you win Scarborough, it is hard for them to really choose you. Although you win, they don't
True.
want to send you to Trinidad, because it's three barriers now you're going to fight. Country
Hmm.
bookie, fight up with Scarborough,
And then,
and then go Trinidad now to be Tobago, Tobago, Tobago. Don't let me
exactly.
hear you. Say
Exactly.
crab. Say peace. When you go down to Trinidad. Because
But
I was
I
on,
actually met somebody who told me that because of how I talk, I can't be Tobagonian.
they tell
I
that to
met
my
a
daughter
Trinidadian
also.
who was actually
Yes.
said that to me. I cannot be. And then when they heard I was from the East, well, oh my God, you cannot
Well,
be from
darling, let me
the
tell you
country.
something. The way you speak and only come from your mother or your grandmother. Your great grandmother,
Hmm.
she was a speaker. I don't know if she was born in some other country. But that is how Sister Inez and Teacher Inez and your mom, that's the way you guys speak. Well, we'll talk about your grandfathers.
Hmm.
Them Brebner from Scarborough, because your father wasn't from country, no?
No, no.
No. Because most Brebners that I know, they came
Are
from the
from,
West.
yeah, most of them, they all came from Bethel and
Yes.
branched out from Bethel, basically. Yeah.
Yes. So your legacy
So yes,
right
but you were
now,
asking about my teaching. I actually, coming out of high school, I taught as an OJT for a little bit before going to the United States. So that was really my
you
first
remember when
stint.
I was saying I jumping, but no, I ain't jumping, because I was
Hmm.
trying to find out if you did teaching before you traveled or
Yeah,
after. But when you came back, you
I
still was
taught.
teaching.
Yeah, so when I came back, I started teaching. Well, in addition to working at the Division of Health and Social Services at that time, I also taught at I started at UA Open Campus. I taught
Wow.
at Cipriani School of
Labor
Labor.
College.
Yes, I taught at the Tobago campus of Cipriani, and I still teach now at Costat. I teach the nursing students right now. I've taught the students who become public health inspectors. I've taught students who become OSH safety officers. So I've been teaching since I came back. I know my mommy was saying, I think probably this week self, she was saying when she saw me go into being an OJT, she thought, oh gosh, Faith going and do this hard work that I'm paying no money as a teacher.
Oh my God.
And she was actually telling me this week or last week self that she is now recognizing that one. I had it in my blood because, as you said, great grandmother, grandmother,
Everybody,
mother, and now me. So it is in my blood.
it
I
is
can't
in your
not
blood.
teach. Yeah, yeah.
And then your grandfather, the Brebners, they are very educated, talented,
Exactly.
resourceful people.
People. Yep.
I know the Brebners. I know a lot of Brebners. I know a lot of
Hmm.
Brebners from policemen to this one. I know a lot of Brebners. So a
Yep.
round of applause this hour. People,
Oh,
we
thank you.
are introducing everybody to this spectacular woman, this marvelous young woman, Dr.
Oh,
Faith B.Yisrael.
yes. Hmm.
And I know this evening that we are all blown away because many people don't know how many hats you have worn and is
Hmm.
still wearing.
Hmm.
So, Dr. Faith, I expose you to the world
Well, as I told you when you asked this, it is such a pleasure. It is an honor to be here as your guest and to have this exposure. It certainly is an honor. I thank you so much for this opportunity.
because sometimes when you out there performing your great deed and your powerful will in the House of Assembly there, as who are you in the House of Assembly?
I'm a minority councillor in the Tobago House of Assembly. So, quick little history on that. I got into politics, contested the Tobago House of Assembly elections in 2017, lost my seat by 5 votes. Yes. One,
Five
two, three,
votes.
four, five. 5 votes.
Are
It's
you
what the
are you
official
gonna
report says.
help me today that if for some reason, by some good sense of God's gift, you become a chief secretary or you become someone very high up that have money to spend and stuff, what would you do with the laws that people should contest more
Hmm. Well,
if
I
they
mean,
win or lost, if they lost
right.
an election by such minimal?
Small margins. Well,
Yes.
but you actually hit something on the a nail on the head because yesterday we had a sitting in the Tobago House of Assembly, and the motion that was brought by Mr. Watson Duke, my political leader, the minority leader,
Yes.
um, he brought a motion that basically asked for the Tobago House of Assembly to be able to make laws as it relates to things relating to the Tobago House of Assembly. Because what
Yes.
happens now is if we want to do something in education that requires a law that is different from a law in Trinidad and Trinidad and Tobago as in the country, Tobago cannot just make that law on our own. If we want to make a health related law, and I use the example of Port of Spain, anybody who goes through Port of Spain or ARIMA recognizes that in addition to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, there are ARIMA police and there are Port of Spain police and so forth, in addition to the regular TTPS that we are familiar with. That is because ARIMA as a municipality and Port of Spain as a municipality can make a law that says we want to have our own police, which they've done. The Tobago House of Assembly does not have the authority right now to do that. And that is a change that we can make in the THA Act right now that does not require a special majority in the parliament to make, that would allow the Tobago House of Assembly to make whatever laws that we need for us. And that was a motion that was piloted in the Assembly yesterday. Of course, the PDP, Progressive Democratic Patriots members, Mr. Watson Duke, Mr. Farley, Chavez Augustine, and myself, we spoke to that. Of course, the PNM people did not agree with it and they voted it down, which means just by share of numbers, they are physically more than us in the House. So their vote would always count more than our vote. So that means it was not passed and it will not happen, at least not what we had suggested in the way we had suggested it. But you're right. That is one of the things that we should be able to decide. If we say, well, somebody who loses an election by 5 votes is it's too close, let's do not just a recount, but let's go back to the polls because you should
Yes.
have more than that. We should be able to make that law for ourselves in the Tobago House
What's
of
the
Assembly.
minimum? What's the minimum that could make a recall vote?
We don't have laws about a recall vote in Trinidad and Tobago. We have no laws that relate to recall. We have no laws that relate to any of those things in Trinidad and Tobago right now. That's why, unfortunately, what you've seen happen is the only time the people have an opportunity to change politics is election day, which is every 4 years in Tobago and every 5 years nationally. But outside of that, we don't have any opportunity to influence anything by doing like recall or anything like that. We
So
don't.
you trying to tell me now and the audience here, our well-behaved and loved audience here, that we have rules. We have rules in Trinidad and Tobago. We don't have laws.
We do. And even if we have laws in Trinidad and Tobago, as in that governs Trinidad and Tobago, if Tobago needs to make a law for itself to govern Tobago, because this is something special. Now, let me give another example. We have all of our farmers in Tobago complain about the cockrico and the cockrico eating their crops and so forth. We have hunting season and non-hunting season. We have the cockrico being a special, protected bird and that kind of thing. But because it means that our farmers are going to be in distress continually. Tobago needed to be able to make a law that says farmers only, for example, can and treat with their crop, treat with their pests a certain way, a certain amount of times a year or whatever. We do not have the authority to make that kind of law in Tobago at all. Because when we propose a law here, what happens is that it goes to the cabinet in Trinidad. The cabinet decides what they want to do with it, change it, mix it up, do whatever they want to do with it. And it then goes to the parliament, which is what is happening to our Tobago autonomy law right now, for example. We said, we made very clear distinctions about what we want in that law. We sent a bill or a proposed bill to Trinidad. It stayed in cabinet, it spun around in cabinet for a while. They took it to the parliament. It is now sitting before a joint select committee. It is not going to get to actually being passed in parliament anytime soon. If we needed to do something in Tobago, we should not have to go through all of those steps for it to be passed. Because
Wow.
Port of Spain has the authority to make laws for themselves that go straight to the president for the president to sign. ARIMA has the authority to make a law that goes straight to the president for the president to sign. The THA has to go to the cabinet, go to the parliament, and then depending on what they do, it will then get to the president if it is passed. That does not work for good governance. And if Tobagonians have really been clamoring for more autonomy, this is one way to get that more autonomy immediately without going through that whole long spiraling process that's happening now in parliament.
You are really educating us right now, Dr. Faith.
Mhm.
Some things that I am hearing from you, I know it is possible because it should
Yes.
happen. It should really happen.
Yeah,
So you are saying that we need real constitutional reform,
we do. We do.
isolatedly, in an isolated environment where Tobago need some form of special autonomy to make laws and rules to govern its people, because
Exactly.
we are given monies to use, but we
Hmm.
can't use the money as how we get it because it's not enough. While Trinidad will just get a project, one
Right.
project will be the amount of money that we receive to run the whole of
The whole
Tobago.
island, exactly. And that is a thing too. Even if we were to borrow money, the Tobago House of Assembly can't go out and just borrow money if it needs. It needs to get permission from the Minister of Finance before we can go out and borrow money if we need to do that. For an
When you
island,
say, excuse me, when you say go out, when you say borrow money and go out, break it down for the people. Like
so
another, yes.
right. So the Tobago House of Assembly gets 99% of its funding from the central government. We do a wish list, and I call it a wish list. The official term is a budget, but it is not a budget. We just do
The,
a wish list where
the
we
5
ask.
billion.
Yeah, we've been asking for 5 billion every year for the last how many years? We have been getting about 2 point something billion every year for the last how many years? And that is where we get most of our funding from. If Tobago needed to do some kind of huge, large scale capital project, so if we wanted to build a whole new, I don't know, anything we want to build and we want to go out and say, let's go
Like a
for
whole new market in Roxborough.
exactly. And we need way more money than what is normal in the coffers for regular running. And we wanted to go to IADB, to the International Bank, or to any other bank, or to any external funding agency. We have to get permission from Trinidad before we can do that. And that should not be. Yes, we
Wow.
would want to work together. Yes, we want to make sure we're not doing anything illegal. Yes, there needs to be real accountability and that kind of thing. But we shouldn't have to get permission from Trinidad to do it. That is where the problem comes in. And these are things that are within the Tobago House of Assembly Act. And let me just be clear about that. The Tobago House of Assembly Act is what governs or what created the entity known as Tobago House of Assembly. Now, because it is an act of parliament and it is something that is not changing the constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. It requires a simple majority for that to change. So the things that we are suggesting that we change in the act, like one, giving us the ability to make laws, and because that really is
Yes.
one line in the act that you just have to change, allowing us to go out and collect and do the budgeting and do, all of those things. Those are lines in the act that need to change. You don't need a special majority, which is what 4/5 in one house and 3/3 in the other house to pass to change it. So that is why we
Wow.
are saying no, because we only need a simple majority, just one more than middle, is what we need to pass that. And there's currently that on the PNM side, for example, in the parliament in Trinidad. We can make these changes to the Tobago House of Assembly Act now, while they're still trying to figure out all of that madness that's going on with the autonomy bill in that is spinning like top in mud at the JSC right now. So those were the little changes that we had been suggesting. And that is what the debate yesterday in the Tobago House of Assembly legislature was about, actually.
So deep down, Dr. Faith, you are giving us so much food. I don't know if we can eat all one day.
All
But right now, is there any county or borough in Trinidad that can borrow money for themselves?
No, about the borrowing money, I don't know. I would have to check as it relates to borrowing money about counties. But those counties can make their own laws. I have seen it
They
happen.
can make their own
They can
laws.
make their own laws. Now, for example, a couple years ago when we had a huge dengue outbreak in Trinidad and Tobago, dengue from
Yes, public
mosquitoes.
health. Yes,
Yes.
doctor of public health. Give us,
So
give us, give us.
So one of the things that the municipalities in Trinidad, like Arima, Port of Spain, and so forth, what they did is they was telling landowners that if you own a piece of property that you are not taking care of, because if you grow the bush tall, the bush would collect water, the mosquitoes breed, that
Mosquitoes,
kind of
yes.
thing. If you allow your property to grow past a certain amount, we can then come and charge you. That is actually a bylaw that they were able to create for themselves. We will charge you $2,000. We would come cut it ourselves. You can't tell us not to cut it, but then we will charge you $2,000. Arima has that bylaw. Port of Spain has that bylaw. And we don't have that bylaw, and we can't just make that law
I don't know.
on
Someone
our
was
own.
trying to call me. They mess up my whole. stuff
Oh,
here right
well,
now.
I am seeing you
I'm not
perfectly
hearing you. You
fine.
hearing me?
I am hearing you. Let me type here. Oh, what's happening? I am hearing you fine. Let me type in the chat. Producer, you need to help us.
I'm not hearing you, Dr. Faith.
I am hearing you. So maybe we need to figure out how to do this. Producer, help us out so that she could fix this. So hey, it's Dr. Fate. We're waiting for Miss Cora to come back on. You know, that is what happens when we have these programs and when people call and so forth. Listen, guys, I am so honored to have this conversation with her. As she said, she's one of those people who, been there, knows my mom, knew me probably before I knew. So cool. You're hearing me now?
Yes, I am.
Good,
Praise God.
good.
Yes. What we were talking about is the kind of knowledge that you are imparting right now.
Hmm.
That many people, maybe all Tobagonians, they don't have a clue what you are talking about. They
Hmm.
don't know half of the power that we have in Tobago that we can't use because we don't know that we are lacking, because we
Right.
don't know what is expected of us.
Hmm.
Dr. Faith, you are doing a marvelous job. So now you continue to tell us, why should we vote for Dr. Faith?
Oh, well, I think I am in Tobago because I want to see Tobago better.
We
I
want
am
you
in.
here.
Yes, as you could see with my qualifications, I could literally be anywhere else in the world right now, and I would be fine.
Is there any, I don't want to rush you, but you know I like to take my fame with me people.
Hmm.
Is there any more public doctor of public health in Tobago?
Not that I am aware of. I know
You should
several
you
people.
should be you should be aware, because
Well,
your qualities I don't think I ever seen or heard of it being practiced
mhm.
in Tobago.
I do know a couple people with masters in public health, but I don't know anyone else with a doctoral degree in public health. I don't. No.
Round of applause.
Oh, thank you.
So let us hear why we should vote for you, and why and what you have to give to the young people. Because the
Hmm.
reason why I invited you, I could have done invitation with people of more with more experience by age, not by
Mm,
talent.
right.
I mean age, you know. But then I want young people to be able to speak for young people,
Right.
because you guys are the future. And what you guys can do with technology, because
Mm,
technology is the way we have to go.
yes, yes.
I want you, daughter of the soil, sister of the East, I want you to tell us who you are. I want to know about your religious background. Do you live your religion every day? Do you wear your religion on your sleeve? Are you a Christian? Your surname speak something else.
Hmm.
Can we talk? Tell the
Sure, sure.
people. Tell the people who just seeing you and believing they could shout at you or talk to you as they want. Let them know that you are speaking to a professional.
Hmm. So I think going back to the first part of the question in terms of as a younger person, I think what younger people bring to the table in terms of politics is the fact that we know that decisions that we make have real consequences, and they have real consequences in our lives.
Amen.
A lot of the older people, the decisions that they make, it is going to affect somebody else. It is going to have repercussions 5, 10, 15 years down the road, and it would affect somebody else. So I'm not sure that the thought processing that goes into the long-term consequences of this action affects or is the same for somebody who is younger and knows that, in 10 years, I am still going to be pretty young. I still need my water to work, my electricity to work. I still need all of those things to function. I still need my children to go to school, or my mother to go to hospital. For example, I kept telling people that my mother is one of them who refused to go to the United States to live. She absolutely refused. And it's
Mm.
one of the reasons I came back. I needed to make sure that if she needs anything in her older age, she could
Her
get it right
experience
here. Her
age.
experienced age, yes. She could get it right here. If she needs the best doctors, she should be able to get it right here. And the same thing applies for younger people. I personally believe that any young person coming up in Tobago should be able to go to the best university in Tobago and not have to leave Tobago to get that kind of education. So it's things like this that make me know that this is what I have to do. I am here because there's so many things. We have so many ideas. There are so many little things that we can change relatively easily that would make a huge difference in the lives of those who are here now, and the lives of those who are coming, the lives of the more experienced people who want to retire in Tobago. We can make so many little changes on this island that represents true development. That why not, instead of going
Why
and
not?
giving my talent to the United States or to Canada or somewhere else, I need to give my talent to Tobago.
And
Mhm.
you need to be accepted and cherished for making that decision and for coming back and imparting your knowledge, your wisdom. You understand me?
Mhm.
So, what exactly is your political mandate?
Well, we started off with the idea of building a better Tobago. That is what we have to do. And that includes all of the aspects of Tobago life. As a matter of fact, what political parties usually call a manifesto, the PDP has renamed it to be a mandate, because a mandate is what people are expecting of you.
Of you,
So,
amen.
so when we speak, for example, about agriculture and the fact that what we need to do in agriculture is to ensure that we improve the marketing of agricultural goods, it is because the farmers have actually told us, Dr. Faith, we like to farm, we love to farm, but it's killing me after we farm to have to go and find some way to sell these products. So we need help there, finding where to sell the products. So everything that we have put into our mandate, everything that we have decided within the responsibility of the Tobago House of Assembly that needs to be done, it is because the people on the ground in Tobago have said, you know what, this is what we need, this is what we want, this is what we think will work. And we took that and then had discussions with professionals in the area, technical people in the area, saying, okay, this is what the farmers are saying. Can it really work that way? How can we use
Mm.
technology to make it better? How can we use something else to work it out, and that kind of thing? And that is what we have been pushing and gearing towards. And what we are doing is simply asking the people of Tobago to give us an opportunity to see what we can do. All we're asking for is a chance to see what we can do. Because I am telling you, even on my worst day, I know that some of the decisions that I am seeing made right now, I would make a better decision about that, or we would be able to make a decision that works better, that takes into consideration the global trends, takes into consideration the needs of the individual, that takes all of those things into consideration, instead of just doing what we've been doing because we've been doing it all of these years.
Oh, absolutely amazing. Look at the quality answers that I am getting. Preparing me to run for an election too.
Well, why not? We need experienced people.
If you are elected, doctor, if you are elected, what I'm doing for politics right now is what God ordained me to do. I'm
Yes,
not a
yes, yes.
politician.
It's a blessing.
Yes, thank you so much. So if you now you ran the last time,
Hmm.
and did you experience any incident that could have damaged your life or take Dr. Faith out?
Yes, actually, it was one of those. I'm not even sure what happened. I was actually driving a car, and I had just parked up the car. Coincidentally, I was going to a meeting for one of the entities that are part of the foundation that I run.
You don't want to ask me why I asked you the question?
Um, I am almost
Bec-
afraid to ask.
Well, answer the question because it is a real question. And when I was told of that, I right on the spot where the incident happened, I believe I was told because I was
Hmm.
speaking about you in the car, and the
Okay.
driver turned and said, "So you know here what happened? You know your girl could have dead. So let's talk."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was actually pulling up about to park, and this gentleman who coincidentally I actually knew him. He mental health issues. I actually knew
Because we are
him,
going to
and
go on that when you finish.
yes,
Public
and
health now, as a public health officer.
exactly, and he came up to the vehicle and took. I am not even sure what it was. It may have been a stone or something, and smashed the windscreen of the car with me inside of it, and then he took off running. Yeah. Thank God that I did not receive any major injuries because the car, the windscreen, they've actually made not to shatter into
Yeah,
to tiny
shatterproof,
pieces.
yes.
It is
Long
shatterproof. So
ago they used to break,
exactly.
but
So this
nowadays
one
it's
this
shatterproof.
one was shatterproof, so I did not get any physical injuries. Of course, it really, really
Trauma.
shook me. It really, really traumatized me. And I was wondering, what is going on? Is this God sending me a sign that I probably shouldn't be doing this or something? And then I remember that my mother used to always say that even in the United States, that never forget that I came from praying people. Never forget that I have
Amen.
a mother who is always praying for me, a grandmother who is always praying for me,
Amen.
aunts, and everybody who is always praying for me. So what is mine would be mine, quote unquote, and nothing can affect me unless nothing is going to affect you. You are covered. You are blessed. And I personally believe that it doesn't matter what happens out there, that there is always a covering over me, and it doesn't matter what anybody tries, it doesn't matter what comes to me. I am blessed, I am covered, and I'll be fine. Doesn't matter what.
How do you worship?
How do I worship? Well, worshiping for me is a very personal thing. And one of the things that I have actually been able to, I firmly believe that there should really be a separation of church and state in terms of governance and that kind of thing. So I have always kept my worship to me. Um, People who know my family know that my parents, for example, own a spiritual Baptist church, but
Yes.
I also have the knowledge of having grown up with a grandmother who I went to Pentecostal church with my grandmother all
Yes.
the time, and went to church with her all the time. so
Yes.
so so coming from all of these different religious point of
Entities, yes.
views, entities, I know that there is something greater than us.
Amen.
There is something greater than us. And as a matter of fact, I told somebody, I think I was having a discussion with someone, and the whole idea of, when you go to school, you tend to, our parents tend to tell us that when we go to school, we just forget God. And I actually said to the person that,
Especially
no,
when you're doing science.
science,
I had was to
right?
get a commitment from my daughter that regardless of how high you get with your science, just remember how we get here and
Yes.
what we use to get here
Hmm.
is the name of Jesus. I ain't forcing anything on her. I never
But,
forced her to go into a church. I never
hmm,
forced her into religion. I never forced her into modernized religion, preaching
right.
and conducting herself. She knows who she is. She knows who God is, and her belief system work in accordance
With
to
that.
her.
Exactly. But it was actually biology and learning how the body works that made me know that this could not be just some kind of big bang. This could not just be something happening by happenstance. The way our neurons connect to each other, and what causes us to think, and what causes us to feel, and what causes us to, all of those
What
things,
causes the blood to flow? What makes the
that
blood stop flow?
all of those
The
things,
difference
that
between staying alive
blood
and the
going
day
to.
of death.
Exactly. All of that could not just be by chance. So I know that there is something greater than me. I know that there is something bigger than all of us that we need to give homage to, and we need to give thanks to, and we need to give praises to, for want of a better word. Because the all of those things, I think, is within us. All of those things is within us. Whether you actually go to church or not, you know right and wrong within your heart. You know when you are about to do something wrong. You know it feels a certain way, whether you've ever been to church or not. The act of, for example, taking a man's life, there is something that in you, within your being, you know that that is wrong. When, even if you've never been to a church, you
Yeah.
know that taking a
You
man's
didn't
life
give
is
him life. You know
wrong.
that whatever you're doing to him is final. He wouldn't be around anymore. But
Exactly.
you want to be around.
Exactly. It
It's
is
all
within
within
us.
you.
It is
Yes.
within us. And I personally, I live my life knowing that I need to give homage. I need to give thanks. I need to give, no, no, forgiveness. I need all of those things, regardless of what I may call God or what somebody else may call God. And that's why I also tell my parents too that, even though I don't go, for example, to the Baptist church every Sunday, my mother knows that all she has to do is say, Faith, I need you, and I will be there, because I do know that there is something in honoring your parents. Full stop.
Yes. Yes.
Honoring your parents, regardless, honoring your parents is a blessing. And any people who don't, you feel the repercussions of that later. That to me is in me.
So, in a sense, you could say that that is your religion.
Yes, and it is that is my religion.
So, Dr. Fred, you are making you are making this religious part of this program very easily acceptable, because then we all have to live this life knowing that your religion is in you.
Exactly,
Stop
exactly.
fronting with your churches. However, you are not going to use someone's religion to prevent them from getting what they are deserving of.
Of course, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And my religious belief is my religious belief. I will never, govern on a religious belief that you may not believe in. So that is why I went back to the statement of really separating church and state, because I may have a doctrine in my mind, but you may not believe in that doctrine. Because you don't believe in that doctrine should not put you at a disadvantage within this entity known as Trinidad and Tobago. It shouldn't.
It
And
shouldn't.
I would fight anyone the same way I would fight for anyone's ability to worship however they wish. I will also fight to give everyone the right to not worship however they wish, because that is a human right
Because
that we all need to be able to
if you
follow.
have to practice what you believe in, not everyone that you come up with or come up to against, that you will have the right to say no to because of your religion, or yes
Exactly.
because of
That's
you
of
are
your
my
religion.
sister in church, I'm going to give you this job.
No,
I
it
understand
can't
where you're
be like
coming
that.
from.
It can't be like that at
Can't be
all,
like
at
that.
all. No.
Yes, can't be like that. So when a young so we're going to have to go to the questions, because I believe we have a lot of questions. You think we should have questions? I think we should, because
Sure.
this live was so energetic that I will have to get you to come back. Would
Of
you come
course.
back?
Of course, certainly.
I'm excited already. So, how has your role as a social scientist and founder of the NGO, yeah,
Mm,
prepared you, because you said that you are about NGO and
yeah.
whatever here today. I want people to know that everything you need to move on in Tobago, you have it in you. You are so impactful. You have the message, you have the story. And so far, thanks be to God, you have the health.
True. Thanks be to God.
Thanks be
Yes.
to God, you have the health, and you can persevere, and you can manipulate the system that's taking us down a path that people can't survive or learn. I want young people to learn from you.
Hmm.
Tell us
Well, the
politics and leadership.
right. So the when I did my dissertation, so it goes further back. When I did
I know
my
someone who used a part of your dissertation to prepare themselves for their
really
doctorate. Yes,
interesting. I mean,
interesting.
when I go, there's a link where you can download it, and it tells you how many downloads and reads. And I'm thinking, why are people downloading this thing? People are
Yes,
actually reading
I
it.
know a doctor right now in Brooklyn.
Okay.
She used Faith Brebner.
Brebner, right? The time it was February. Oh wow. Oh well. Oh gosh. Good. Well, anyway.
Round of
So that.
applause. Round of applause.
Thank
Because I
you.
didn't know that they could have done that.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Mhm. So
And then she said yes.
she did. Oh, that
And
is
she did.
wonderful. So that dissertation actually looked at the things that influence HIV infections in Tobago, HIV infections and treatment HIV in Tobago. So when I came back from while studying that, I actually spent quite a bit of time with people living with HIV and dealing with people who did treatment and care and that
Break
kind of
it down
thing.
for what Tobagonian people AIDS.
Is well, except that there is a
The
difference
difference
between
between the
HIV and
virus
AIDS,
and
but yes.
full
AIDS,
blown
exactly.
AIDS. Yes.
Right. And Tobago, let's be honest, Tobago has actually done a very, very good job of differentiating, a very, very good job of keeping those who are tested positive with HIV and preventing them from progressing to AIDS, because we have the medication and we have pretty decent health care that is available on
Round
the
of
island for
applause.
people.
You guys
I
improve,
can't
because
it is.
there was a time when you couldn't speak that way.
Yeah, exactly. So the foundation that I created does generally, it's a health and wellness foundation. So if you call me to do a lecture on diabetes, I can come and do that for your church or your youth club or anything like that. But it also has a support group for people living with HIV, because at the time we saw that there were not any real standardized entities that was doing that kind of work. So there is that support group dealing with HIV. And at the beginning of 2018, after that very unfortunate incident in the assembly, where the former Secretary for Health spoke about my fertility issues very publicly, I got calls from so many people who said, Faith, this is an issue we are dealing with. We are so hurt. We don't know what to do. Can we, now that we know you are dealing with that same issue, can we work together? So we actually created a support group for people treating with fertility issues as part of the same
So,
foundation.
do you want us to kind of pause a little bit in here so that we could um, expound on this area?
Sure.
Do you know the percentage of women in Trinidad and Tobago that
I actually,
suffering from
actually no.
infertility?
No, I don't. But what I'm recognizing is that it is way higher than we thought, because
Because
we
around the world is out of 10, 8 women.
and that's the thing.
So that is a
We
very high
That's a
rate.
very high number, and we did not think about it. But when you
One
meet
in eight, I
people,
mean. Ugh, 8 out of
one in
10.
eight,
One in
yes,
every
one
8.
in eight. So when you meet people, and we speak on the entire gamut, we find so many people who are having miscarriages, and we didn't know they had a miscarriage. Yeah, I am finding a woman who had stillbirths, went up to 6, 7, 8, 9 months and had stillbirths at that time, and you're like, oh my goodness, what is going on with this? So it is higher than we think. And because we have such limitations in those specific services within our health system, that we have to, we need to be conscious of the fact that it is a serious issue in
So
Tobago.
it's one in every 4 women will have a stillbirth.
That is ridiculous. That is such a
So what
hard
next you come
number.
back, you're going to come back with some numbers here and some
But,
figures, not to scare our women, but to enlighten them so that they could know,
and
So
so that
one
they
in
know
every
it's not,
4 women, and one in
wow,
every 4 women have a
have some
miscarriage.
kind of miscarriage. Wow. But you see, that's important too. So that's not about scaring women. That's about highlighting a fact that allows women to know that you are not the only person going through this, which is part of the healing process. That is part of the support that you need to know that there are other people going through this. And one of the things I also recognized at that time was the number of men who actually have, dealing with this, because we tend to think of women by themselves,
I
but
like
women
how you
don't get
swing that because
pregnant
I
by
was about
themselves.
to ask the questions. I like how
Mm,
you trail it for yourself. Let's go, Dr. Faith.
yes, because women don't get pregnant all by themselves. Well, unless they're doing fertility and with a donor and that kind of thing. But for the most part, it is really a man and a woman who is trying to do this, and families that are dealing with this. And during that time, I was also very surprised at the number of men who reached out to me and said,
Yes,
hey,
because in
this is
Tobago
really
we
hard.
have a lot of men in Tobago that have dysfunctional. a
They are quite a bit.
a lot of men in Tobago. I make some visits in Tobago and talking to some men, and a lot of men have to a lot of men take, instead of going and see a neurologist, they go on and they just want to
They're
take
buying
this
all
blue
the
pill and drinking all this
exactly.
drink, and
And not
we
even the blue, not even the official blue pill. They go in and buy all kind of Chinese, heaven knows what they're putting in their bodies to help with the issue instead of actually going to try to treat with it. But that's also a cultural thing. That's we could
macho
do an
macho.
entire show on that macho thing that's happening there. Yeah. Yep.
So Dr. Faith, your profession is not really limited. It's a lot of it's there in the unlimited bracket where
It
you
is.
move, where you can do this and you can do that, and
Mm-hmm.
and because of your profession, you could be a great politician, a great teacher. And what I have to say is that I wish governments are being run in a decent way where we could have opposition being part of governing,
Yeah.
where if an opposition person like you have so much knowledge, before Dr. Carrington gave out this message that people should go here if you have AIDS, and you should go to the clinic here and there, she should have, have conversation with you, and you guys could have come up with a decent way to,
To
instead of
do it.
people will not go. It's too
Yeah.
public.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who walk in there, my neighbor? That girl who is the nurse in that office there,
True.
she's a run mouth. She's a blah, 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 blah. She wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
keep my secret.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to tell me how you think politics should really run. Should the opposition be part of governing?
Well, that is how it should be. And that is the idea, for example, of even these plenary sittings that we have where we come together and debate.
Instead of arguing and fighting
Instead of
and calling
arguing and
names.
fighting, exactly, that really is what we should be doing those Thursday evenings when we there. So you're bringing up real ideas, you're really really thinking about it, you have a policy, and when you have a real the discussion about it, you get the best out of it. You get the best, you get the best of both worlds, basically. That is what we should be doing. But I think that Tobago has, unfortunately, we've been culture to think that politics is such a dirty thing. As a matter of fact, when I told my mother that I was going into politics, she
I
was very,
know.
very upset. She was rather upset because this idea that politics is so dirty. But I also see part of my role as being able to change the image of who politicians are and what politics is. Because the reality is, politics is every aspect of our life. Every aspect of our life required someone to have made a decision that we are now benefiting from, or we are now not benefiting from that position. And that is why we all have to take an active role in this thing that is happening now.
So I just want to ask you something here, because I'm going to go back to a little piece, then we go into questioning.
Mm-hmm.
In 2008, I got a vision. And
Okay.
the vision I received, I saw you in politics.
Okay.
So I told my daughter, and because I was drawing and I pick up Faith. And when I pick up Faith, she said, Mommy, Faith ain't good. Me ain't think Faith go want to
Do
be
that.
that, you know, the Faith I see now on Facebook, because she was on Facebook and all these things,
Right.
not me. So I said, regardless of what I have to tell this child, I have to tell this child what I see. But so I came to Trinidad in 2009 to
Mm.
speak to the then Prime Minister, Patrick Manning.
Okay.
And I came because I was given a lot of names also,
Okay. Okay.
even that he will lose the election to a woman. I came and I walked Port of Spain, I give the message out. I walked the whole of High Street, I gave the message out. And I came to Tobago now and I start to tell Reverend John. You know Reverend John?
Uh,
Stephanie.
Stephanie John, yeah.
Yes.
Glamorgan. Mm-hmm.
Glamorgan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she was in some class of yours.
I taught her, yeah. I
And
can't remember what class it was, but I
she
taught
said,
her.
me and think Faith thing, you know. So I'm trying to make up my mind. I got Denise Soyafat Angus. I asked her. She
Mm-hmm.
told me no. I asked Claudia Groom because God put me to look for a woman for the Tobago House of Assembly.
Okay.
I got Dr. Mackenzie.
Mm-hmm.
Is Eastland is your name?
Eastlyn, uh-huh.
Eastland Mackenzie Bacchus. And I start to move around. I
Okay.
got Collis Hazel, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Collis tell me, you see me, leave me when me there. Me good what I'm doing right now. I did not approach you because I heard that you are doing certain things and you wouldn't be in that. And at that time, I wasn't looking for another party. I'm a
Okay.
PNM.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
was scouting for a PNM woman to compete. I was looking. When I went looking for Tracy, I was told that don't worry with Tracy. She's being groomed by Orville London for the
Okay.
next chief
Chief
search.
said. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So are you listening to the woman name that I called?
I'm listening, yes,
And
yes.
you were the youngest of them all at the time. That wasn't in politics.
Right.
I just heard of your qualifications. And my daughter tell me ain't think Faith go do that.
She was
Reverend
probably
John
right.
told me the same thing. But
Mm.
if I did got you at the time, it would have been for PNM. So now I want to ask you, because I'm telling you, you are ordained for the job.
Oh, thank you.
And
Okay.
I'm saying to you here right now, what made you choose to go with PDP? Did you say yes at the first instant?
No. As a matter of fact, Mr. Duke would tell you that he approached me several times, and I kept telling him that I am a technical person. I'm a technocrat. I don't want to get into politics. I loved politics. I've always loved
Had I
learning
known you
about those
love politics,
things.
I would have
Yeah,
approached
yeah.
you.
Yeah, always loved the politics. But I did not go the first or second or maybe even third time he approached me. But I started listening to him because remember he also went to Roxborough Sec, so I knew him from way back then.
Yes.
Um, I could tell you why I didn't go with PNM, because I had worked in the Tobago House of Assembly since 2007 for all of these years up until 2013, 2014, around that point, or maybe even later. I was seeing, and because I was working at a pretty high level in terms of what my position was in the THA, I was seeing something that was not a nice thing within the party. You see what is playing out now, what played out just before January and what is playing out now in that party and that kind of thing. I was privy to some of that same kind of bacchanal, I don't like you, you don't like me, I'm not going to work with you, you're not going to work with me. And I thought to
Even
myself,
if I help you win.
even if, yeah, even if we're on the same team, even if when we come out in public, we are. brothers, sisters, we are part of the same party in the room in the back. We are not speaking to each other. And when I saw that, I thought to myself, if this is how you treating your brother, what you gonna do me? That kind
Wow.
of thing. If this is how you treating somebody who you and them supposed to be
Especially as somebody
close.
that your mother never PNN.
Exactly. What are you going to do to me? Now, the converse of that is, I started listening to all of the political parties, the PNM at that time, the Tobago Forwards, well, at that back then, TOP and that kind of thing too.
Yes.
And listening to Mr. Duke. And what I gathered was his genuine love for Tobago. And I would always
Oh,
tell anybody that you see that is what made me decide that I needed to be with a team of people that is led by somebody who genuinely loves this island and would do anything for this island. I learned more about him after the fact, after we started working together and that kind of thing. And my appreciation and my adoration and so forth for him has actually grown more that I have been around him in the inner circles closer to seeing him work when he's not there. And I think this is, part of the issue. Because he came out of the world of trade union, a trade
yes.
unionist has to be a rara,
A loud person,
a loud
a
person,
fighter.
a fighter, and
Because
that is
remember, they're not fighting for power to make rules and laws. They're
no
fighting for food,
for the workers.
shelter, health,
Exactly,
freedom.
exactly.
So it's
So
a different
it's
fight.
a different
It takes
fight.
a different personality.
Yes. And unfortunately, for very long, that is the only part of him that most people saw. And I think the media also pushed that narrative. So, for example, you would see pictures of him, like standing on a desk at a negotiation because it broke down to that point. But you would never see the picture of the master negotiator. And I have actually been at around tables with him, and to see him switch people's minds and to see him really, really advocate for the workers and to see, the mind of a brilliant man working. There are times that I am like, whoa, I really wish there were cameras here now so that Tobago sees what is happening. I also went with PDP because I recognize that another important trait of Mr. Duke
Young
is that
people.
well, there is that part, but the other, probably even more important part was that he knows what he knows, but he also knows what he does not know. And he is a leader who is very
Explain
willing.
that.
He is a leader who is willing to have people who know more than him in particular areas
Wow.
be around him and give counsel, and he takes the advice of those who know more than him in particular areas. So if you look at
Hallelujah.
our team, it is of people who are scholars in their area. And when we sit down to brainstorm and have discussions and so forth, those people are allowed to bring their expertise to the table. And he accepts, of course, sometimes he comes with the layman term and bring it in a way that the doctor so may not be able to listen to or may not be able to understand, but he's able to bring
It
it in
happens
a
again.
particular way. Somebody
People not
called you again
following me. They don't follow me. If they follow me, they will know that I am on live.
online.
This is ridiculous.
So we would have to go through the process again while I stand here, I sit here and talk to you guys, and hopefully that goes quickly and all of that. I'm reading these comments. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you all so much for giving the comments. So we just wait a little bit until she comes back on. And those of you, if you haven't shared the live yet, go ahead and share it. Tell your people that this is what is happening and that it needs to happen. And we go from there. So the question on the screen says, why should the people of Tobago vote for Dr. Fate and the PDP? Now, that is a pretty easy answer.
We answered that before.
Before, and Well, yeah, we kind of answered it before. Tobago needs to give itself a chance to see what somebody else can do. And the PDP is that quote unquote somebody else outside of what we are seeing now. Because the reality is we have seen 20 years of what PNM has to offer. We've given them several chances over and over and over again to get better, to do things differently, and they simply have not done it. So this is an opportunity for Tobago to give a group of young at heart, energetic people an opportunity to make some of the changes that we think need to be made for the island.
Nice.
Mhm.
So another question here is, if elected into power, how long would it take to see positive
Positive
results?
results. I think that when you change the people at the top, the entire culture of the organization changes. So even though some of the visions that we have, some of the things that we are planning for Tobago will take some time to materialize and so forth, I think coming in with a group of energetic people who love the island, people who are doing everything for the island, you would actually start to see a shift in the psyche of the people on the island immediately. And so you start to see the positive turning happening. Because what we are seeing right now, for example, is the fact that we have a lot of workers that feel aggrieved. We have a lot of workers who don't feel that they are loved at their workplace. And because of that, they are not functioning the way they should be functioning. But coming in, and one of the things that I personally plan to do, and we will be doing it, is to almost do a reconciliation, to almost do a kind of, what do you need us to do to make this better? How do we work together to make this better? Because the reality is, Tobago is full of bright, quote unquote, competent people who can function and who can govern this island properly. We just need a way to bring all of those people into the fore and have them be a part of actively, be a part of actively managing this place, be a part of actively, bringing their ideas and having us work through how to make these ideas work. So no, we have, for example, a University of Tobago may not happen tomorrow, but if we start the ball rolling now, we could start seeing the positive changes that are needed immediately, I think. I personally believe that.
Yes, read some questions, Dr. Faith.
So Kamara Alin Jacob says, how do you plan to address the issue of underemployment and unemployment in Tobago? That's a critical issue because one of the things that's actually one of the things the PDP talks about all the time. You hear them quoting these numbers of very low unemployment rate, but the reality is most of Tobago is underemployed. So one, we have to rethink how we do employment. Having the Tobago House of Assembly employ everyone to 60-70% that's working now is not going to happen. What we need to do is actually work on building the business sector so that the business sector can pull a lot of the people who are doing the jobs that are not paying more than minimum wage. And if we build the private sector, those people can then pull people from the THA, the people who are doing, the early morning work or the CPEP and so forth, who are only making $100 a day. A thriving private sector can pull those people in and pay them way more than that. And one way to do that is, I think it was this week, I was talking about the fact that one of the things that the PDP wants to do is have what is known as community funding. And that means dedicating specific amounts of money every year to the communities for the communities to manage and for the communities to do development. That means, for example, if we are doing something in Belgarden, we are building a community center in Belgarden, just as an example, and we have given Belgarden $1 million, $2 million, we would want contractors from Belgarden to be a part of that. We would want the workers from Belgarden to be a part of that. We would want the hardware from Belgarden to benefit from that. And that way we could pull some of the people who are unemployed, some of the people who are underemployed into those kinds of programs, and also building the private sector while we do that at the same time. So those are a couple of the ideas that we have, Kamara, for that.
Dr. Faith, that's a brilliant idea, but we will have to expound on that idea and we will have to talk more about that idea. It is brilliant. But
Mm-hmm.
in my time as a young woman, I know that village councils, they were given that form of opportunity and that way of thinking community and village life. And a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot of corruption took place. A whole lot of friendship and family parties
Yeah.
took place. A
Mm-hmm.
whole lot of things that did not build a community on a wide scale.
Yeah,
They
I know the
departmentalize
example.
it into family and
Mm-hmm.
who is the head of the village council. Them get the money so they hire. They get the money so they get the news to go around quick. Even
Yeah.
village council prevented a lot of young people from moving forward. Like
Mm-hmm.
long ago to become a police officer, they will come and investigate you in your village.
Right, right, right.
And many
And
people's in village council because of family war. And me, mommy, not talking to mommy. And you and your mommy
yeah.
take away my husband. This child suffer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But one of the things that we want to do differently, that is like any project or any program that is done without the necessary checks and balances. So, for example, when we say allocate the money to the village, to the community councils, and I specifically didn't say village councillor because village council is a dirty word, is a dirty term in Tobago because of exactly what you just spoke about, and this is history, long-standing
Long,
history.
long history.
Long-standing history. So we specifically didn't say village council, we said community council because we're talking about bringing the entire community together, not just a select few. That's one thing. When we said allocate the money, we also did not mean just give you $1 million in your hand and say, here, you do what you want. No, the money would be sitting within the division with responsibility for community development, but you would have access to it once you've met these requirements. And the requirements would mean showing one, that this really is a community project of priority that the community has agreed on. That's one thing. It also means you showing that working with the technical people in the divisions. See, we would have engineers in the divisions, we would have accountants, we would have all of those people in the divisions working with these entities to ensure that if we say we are building a community center, that it is structurally sound. So the engineer would have to be the one going on and doing the surveillance and stuff like that with the private entity. And of course, the accountability for the money, that has to be top of the line. So because we know all of those things happen, we would have to build the systems around it that would prevent that from happening, or we would be able to at least identify it early enough and put a stop to it before it just snowballs and continues. That's the difference.
Dr. Faith, this is one of the most powerful answers that you gave, but we have to come back on that because right now, here are we leading into. Someone is asking here, if you were in charge, how would you address folks in charge of divisions with missing money? Because no matter what we do and where we are in business and when it comes to money and human being,
Yeah.
we have problems.
Yeah.
So here we have a division and big monies are missing.
Hmm.
Someone is asking you kindly to
Well,
provide.
that is something that we would not have waited for the information to be leaked to the opposition for the opposition to tell you about it. We find out that it is happening, we would be the ones who say, hey, this is what is happening in the division, this is what we discovered, and this is what we have done to rectify it. If people thieving, I don't care who you are, and I have already told all of my political colleagues in the PDP that none of them end dirty in my name and the name that my mother worked very hard to build. So if you feel that I will not be the first person to call the police on you, you lie. I will call the police if I need to call the police. You're not dirty in my name for party at all, at all, at
And
all, at
dirty
all.
your name for a kickback.
For a kickback. And that's the other thing too. That's the other thing that is so prevalent in Tobago, that idea of kickback. No, I don't want any kickback. I want you to know that if you have made $1 million on a project,
Enjoy
that
it.
you
Put it
enjoy
to
your
work.
$1 million. And if there is something happening in the community where we need to give support to an underprivileged family or whatever, because you have benefited from the THA, you should be able to use your social corporate responsibility to help that family instead of the family coming to beg the THA for anything. So don't come and give me any money. Don't give me any brown paper bag at all, at all, at all. But put it back into the community so that we build the communities
We build our
collectively.
community,
We build the
yes.
communities. Yeah. Hmm.
Question again. That we answered that
We
already.
answer that. For all
Rosalind
of your
Chase is
one.
saying, bravo, bravo, Dr. Faith, for all your wonderful achievement. Do you know Rosalind
Thank you.
Chase?
I do know her. I do know Miss
And
Roslyn. We actually met some time ago.
yes, because I know she's going through some problems there. We will get onto that another time.
Yes,
But then
yes, yes.
she's saying bravo to you because a lot of people now knowing who is this Dr. Faith, what kind
Mhm.
of doctoring she's about to offer. But look at Father
The
Philip
motion
Isaac.
for assembly laws were pursued already in the THA, and you see that is the thing. I think we need. That's why one of the things that Assemblyman Farley Augustine said yesterday in the sitting was that we know that this is going to take strength and might. But the people who have been pushing, the people who got us to where we are now, when we talk about A&R Robinson, when we talk about APT James, when we talk about Dr. Murray, they did not politely ask for this, the THA that we have now. They had to go and fight in Trinidad.
Are you
Mr.
forgetting
Hutch,
Dr. Jeff Davison from
Dr.
Roxborough?
Jeff Davidson, exactly. Even Mr. Hutchoy Charles, as said,
Well, look at you, Reverend Philip. Have a question here for you.
I am sure that under Mr. Hutcher trials that motion was debated. I am not sure. I don't know that for a fact. But if it was, we can go back. But again, going back to Mr. Hutcher Charles, it was only through Mr. Hutcher Charles again fighting and being brute on behalf of Tobagonians, where we had the Dispute Resolution Commission that said that the government of Trinidad and Tobago has to give the THA between 4.03 and 6.9% of the budget every year. It was only through that kind of fight and basically taking them to court that we got to where we are now. And that is what the PDP is willing to do because, as I said, I am not doing this for me. None of the other members of the party are doing this for themselves personally. Because, to be honest, my life would have been way much easier if I was working at the UN or WHO making a whole lot of money. But
Oh,
we are doing this
seriously.
because we want to see Tobago get from the level it is now to a higher level. So maybe it will take a different kind of people. It would take people like Mr. Watson you can charge to push to get to the point where we can, really, really make bargains and really negotiate with Trinidad to make that a reality. Dr. Faith is right, however, that the laws must get clearance from the parliament. Yes, not only from the parliament, the laws actually need to go to cabinet first, and then cabinet decides whether it goes to the parliament or not. Mhm.
Knowledge is real power. Another
Yes.
question for you.
Are there any representation for the PDP candidates in the constituency in Trinidad for the upcoming elections? Alicia Jade Wallace. That is something that we toyed with for some time. But right now, the PDP is a Tobago-based, Tobago-formed, Tobago-focused party. And our aim right now is to kind of fix Tobago. And then after we fix Tobago, we could help Trinidad fix Trinidad.
Is that even and the way for Tobago to be in Trinidad is to represent Tobago and get what Tobago need out of Trinidad.
Exactly, that exactly. Dr. Sean, and by the way, let me just say full disclaimer: Dr. Sean Ned is actually the chairman of the PDP. He says, "Good night, grateful to Miss Cora and Dr. Faith. Great conversation. A baseline of change and all of our issues in Tobago is leadership, and PDP will bring proper leadership and standards to managing Tobago's business. PDP will bring such leadership with persons such as Dr. Faith. The future is bright for Tobago." And thank you to Dr. Sean, being a young, bright chairperson of the PDP.
A young doctor that we need in the government of
Yes,
Tobago.
as a matter of fact, I think he should be interviewed too because I still can't even figure out what his doctoral degree in.
Well, you
He's
leave it
so
to me. You
bright.
don't rush my boy.
Very
And
well.
before you say that, I want to let the people know that next Wednesday
Hmm.
we'll be having Farley
Oh, nice. Yes, yes, yes. So,
at
yes,
8 p.m.
at
sharp.
8 p.m.
So we
Cool.
have
I mean,
because
what is,
you know Dr. Shawned, he has his degree in chemistry.
yes, some kind of chemistry. He's tried to explain it so many times.
Yeah, see, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
I love his ability to get
Mhm.
things done and to keep and to keep a strong head. So we have
Yes,
Alyssa
yes.
Jade Wallace. He's saying, Dr.
So,
Faith, I applaud you on this topic. HIV, not a death sentence. Finish it, Dr. Faith.
yes, you said you are amazing daughter, not the soul. You are encouraging and knowledgeable. I am watching from Thailand. Oh, wow.
Yes, she's a
Thank you for
Trinidadian
tuning
living in
in.
Thailand.
Living in Thailand. Wow. Oh, my goodness. And maybe we need to, actually, I need to contact you because I love what Thailand has been doing as it relates to responding to COVID-19. And I would like to get your view on that.
That's a brilliant woman, and you are doing good. And she will be on Monday.
Oh,
Coming.
really? Oh,
Yes.
well, then I definitely have to tune in. Gloria Belfort is saying the only constant is change. Absolutely. Yes, certainly. Certainly.
That's my girl, Dora Belfon. Hey, welcome, love. Thank you for being part of the live. Let's go. Let's
Yes.
go.
Thank you. Thank you. Corey Walcott said, we are seeing you. Well, thank you. Thank you for tuning in, Mr. Walcott. Thank you.
Thank you,
Susan
Corey.
says, blessed night, Mother and Dr. Fate. Thanks for tuning in, Susan.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you,
Thank
Susan
you.
Duncan, Lindsay.
Lindsay. Uh, Great topics, so true, such like coconut now coming from Trinidad, where it was the other way around. Listen, we
We
have
used to have down
regressed
to copra. You remember them truck
everything.
passing down with copra?
Well, I don't
Dry
remember
coconut?
trucks passing down with copper. I was too young to remember that.
Yeah, you didn't born yet.
I don't remember that at all. But I've read the books, I've heard the stories. We getting coconut from Trinidad. That is ridiculous. I mean, we should be ashamed of that. But it is what it is.
And you know
Um,
who gave that question? We could go
mhm.
back and see. Yes, Ingrid
Ingrid Gale, Noel
Noel.
MacLeod.
Thank you so much, Ingrid Gale. We welcome you. We thank you.
Thank you, thank you. MacLeod from Belgarden by any chance? I wonder. Maybe she could answer. Hmm.
Maybe she could answer. But we might get to that one.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
Uh,
I'm saying that, we have so many questions. Let's go with Rosalind Chase.
mhm. uh, Nice to hear one of my favorite subjects, agri-science, being discussed. Mr. Peters, yes. Mr. Garnet Peters was my teacher too for agri in Roxbury. It's like I really love the subject. Yes, yes. Mr. Peters was a wonderful teacher too doing agri. Perfect. Yes. Cindy too saying, yes, hi Cindy, thank you. Great conversation, by the way. Cindy was tuning in since about 7:45, waiting for this
Oh,
interview.
wow.
And Cindy messaged me asking when we started.
Well, that's our girl. She's a Bell Garden product, yes.
Belgarden
She
product,
went to Bell Garden
exactly.
School. She went to, yes, she went to Roxford
Very.
Sector.
Yes, Cindy, I think. Yes, Cindy. Oh,
Yes.
I think so.
So,
Alicia Jade Wallace said you are a daughter of the soil. Oh, so you were correcting before. Yes, yes. I am so
yes.
happy to see Dr. Faith come back to Tobago and be proud of her decision. I applaud you for not being brain drained and a true professional. Continue to shine bright and make your country proud. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yay. Good, good, good
Thank
one,
you.
Alisa. Stop sucking up, Alisa.
Oh gosh, Sharon Fritz Jackson, great interview. Cousin, is she your cousin?
Yes,
She
because
is.
and could be also she from
Right.
Delaford.
Okay, okay.
Yes, and her grandfather
Interesting.
was from Glamorgan, and she was a police woman in Trinidad, a police officer, and then
Okay,
she
okay.
became a police officer here in the United States of America,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
now she's into she just keep going education, and I think she was telling what's not she believes she want to come back home and
Hey,
and run for politics,
why not? I actually, by the way, let me just plug this. One of
and
the
she's a pastor,
Okay,
and she married to a
perfect.
pastor.
Pastor. That would be great. I mean, one of the things that we are actually pushing is to try to get people to return to the island and try to get professionals to return to the island. And one of the things we were, kind of tossing up how we would do it is to actually provide incentives. Tobago has land all over the place that isn't used and so forth. We could actually say to returning residents, if you come start up a business where you hire people, we could give you land, we could give you housing, we could give you no interest loans or those kinds of things to get people, Tobagonians, to come back home to help build Tobago. So
That's a
Donette
very
is
good
saying,
idea, and we love that because there is a woman I told you I will inbox you about it. So I know I don't want to be on this live here today. This
mm-hmm.
one, she's gonna come on the live, and
Okay.
she will because she's our justice of peace for Roxborough, and she's having a very hard time. Father didn't have, mother didn't have, nothing in
Yeah.
hand be done. She coming back and she coming back to open a school. She already opened the school, but it wasn't successful because
Okay.
people want it for free and people
Right,
could get
right,
employed by the government to go into people homes and take care of old people without training. So we are
right.
not going to stray today. We are going to get to that point. Donette is saying, well, Donette is talking about Chippy Mac.
Right, right. This was his father, who was a boss history teacher.
Because I know
Yes,
Chippy
certainly.
Mac's father too. I don't tell
Mm-hmm.
you. Chippy Mac's
Mm-hmm.
father used to work in the countryside. He used to
Okay.
drive the project truck here. He used to drive workers up to the project hill and bring them back home. He used to wear a hat with a red rose on it. They used to call him Red Rose Jack.
Wow.
History for
Wow.
you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm around long. I'm around
Wow.
under the sun. So this young boy that they're controlling our monies,
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't know me and I really don't know him much, but I
Right.
know from whence he
From
came.
where he
I
came.
even know his
That's good.
auntie, that nurse that with all that, she always pretty like that. Nurse
Mm-hmm.
Jack, I love her,
Yes,
she's my
yes.
good friend.
Mm-hmm,
So she's
mm-hmm.
PNM, I'm PNM, so I know all these
All
old
the
time
people,
PNM,
exactly.
yes.
Right, right, right. Yes, yes, yes. See here. What are the top three priorities for your political mandate? Oh gosh, top three priorities. One, I think one of the
Make sure
first
children is in one.
yes. One thing would be to roll out that community funding, because I think that gives us an opportunity to build the communities directly immediately. And once we put the structure in place to ensure that we have the accountability and that kind of thing, that is something that we can roll out quickly. Another one is, oh gosh, there are so many though. There are so many, because tourism is such an important part of what we do and the brand of Tobago. One of the things that the PDP has been looking at is using educational tourism. So having that University of Tobago. Now, even though that may take some time to get to, doing the groundwork for that now, where we would have a top class university here, where we may partner, for example, with Johns Hopkins or MIT or, all of the other entities so
Or
we
even the
could partner.
University of Grenada and Jamaica.
Exactly, because they actually did what we are trying to do. They are several years ahead of us because the university, the medical school in Grenada has been around for quite some time. Even our local Tobagonians were scoffing at it when it started out, and we recognize now that that was actually one of the best decisions that they had made to get to that. But so there's the University of Tobago, but there's also the kind of refashioning of our educational system. Currently, the Tobago House of Assembly Act allows the THA to redo the curriculum or to design the curriculum for teaching at any level in Tobago. And one of the things that we have spoken about earlier is bringing back those ideas of Tobago history and Tobago culture so that our young people grow up with that pride of being Tobago and not just saying I am Tobagonian, but when you ask any child, you meet any child along the road and you say, where can I go to get, or what is the name of the beach, or what is the history behind this stone? The young children should be able to answer that and should be able to beam with pride. Now, when you develop that kind of that pride for your island, it means you don't then have to beat that child to do what is right, because doing what is right is part of what we do to build Tobago. So it involves doing a kind of cultural shift from young, that
Yes.
Tobago centric, that we love this island and we are willing to do anything to build this island. We are willing to, to work together to build this island. That would get rid of simple things like littering, because you now understand that littering damages the environment, and a part
Yes,
of
the
the
sea,
environment is what
yes,
makes
yes.
Tobago and that kind of stuff. So that's also one of the priorities that we have. Another one is the because to do what we do, we need money. So an immediate priority would be to negotiate with the central government to ensure that we actually get more money than what we are getting now. Because right now, because of the work of the DRC and Mr. Charles and so forth, we are supposed to get between 4.03 and 6.9% of the budget. We have been getting closer to 4% for the last how many, 10,
How many
15
times?
years,
Yes.
how many years? We need to get closer to that 6. As a matter of fact, one of the things we want to negotiate is let's go up to 10. Let's go up to 10%. Now if you're negotiating for 10, you may fall a little
All
short,
of it. Yeah, yes. You could always
but
break down.
we are negotiating, which is one of the reasons, for example, that we really, really are pushing to have the Tobago East and Tobago West candidate go to Trinidad and be part of the negotiation within the parliament, so that we can fight for these things, that especially that increased funding for Tobago,
But no,
because
we
that
can't
little bit
talk
of
too much,
money.
you know. We can't talk too much because the other party may steal all our ideas, put them into effect, and claim it as theirs.
They can't do that. I've seen them try and they've messed it up so badly because it didn't come from their heart. It is not really what they want to do. So we could talk about it because our people
Okay.
know that that is what we've done. They have tried and they have failed miserably at trying to do that. So I'm not even worried about that. Cecilia George is saying, I am very
Do
happy
you
to
know
hear
Cecilia George
the name sounds very
from
familiar.
Speyside?
From Speyside. Okay,
She used to
okay.
work in the bank.
Huh. I'll
I
go
think
on.
that is the Cecilia George, I hope.
Georgia.
Yes.
Okay. I'm
Her
not
brother was
sure.
Jules, and you know Jules? Jules George, the policeman that did something to himself.
I'm really bad with names, so
Okay, right.
no,
Well, from
I can't remember.
Speyside.
Fine. Okay,
Nice
okay.
people.
I'll figure it out. I'm very happy to hear the PDP is willing to reach out to professionals. I am willing to give back. Thank you very much. I am not looking for monetary gains. My biggest turnoff is the lack of professionalism in all sectors. However, I am always hopeful, peace, and love. And definitely, we need to continue finding who the Cecilia George is so that we hold you to that because we need competent people. We need people who know what they're
Pali
doing
will know
to
her
be a
very well.
part of this. Yeah, I would ask him. Right.
So we are almost there at 2 hours. Could you
Oh my
believe that?
goodness. Wow.
And we
Wow.
have some more questions that we're gonna ask you. About
Hmm.
3 more questions, and then you have to come back because I have more questions for you.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Because I want to know what we should do when teachers resign at such a young age with all the vibrance and all the intelligence and the knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
and we just let them stay at home and just
Mm.
suffer from senility, all because what? The brain stop working, they stop doing
Yeah.
things that's good. We don't have anything else for them to do. They
Hmm.
don't have to be paid by THA, but there
But
could be some other way where funds could be raised to
right.
pay our teachers to do more with children that drop out from school or who doesn't want to go to school.
Perfect.
You
Exactly.
know,
Do that
and then
twinning.
and
That
then I want to ask
intergenerational
you,
twinning. Hmm.
yes, I want to ask you what if you think that politics should be taught at some level in elementary school into high school,
Hmm.
because
It
our
should.
young people, we are very ignorant of the fact of politics.
Right.
So now we
Well,
have,
that's actually one of the things when we say redesigning the curriculum too, is including going back to civics. Because remember, in civics, we used to do all of these things and talk about the structure of politics and so forth, going
yes,
back to that kind of thing.
the
Yeah.
civics is gone. And
Hmm.
then, so we have all these politicians just doing whatever they want. It's not political, it's not right.
Hmm.
But because people don't know what to ask and what to do or why they should vote,
They get away with it.
they're getting
Exactly.
away with it. So we need young people. We need to
Yep.
be
Yep.
there more for young people. So let us get another question here.
Hmm. As a public health
No,
official,
no,
what
no, we
are
answered that already.
oh, well, no, that is a different question. This is a health question. The question we asked before was for PDP specifically with the
Oh,
mandate.
yes, nice. Go ahead.
Yes, yes. This one is a health specific one. Okay, so the Tobago health sector right now has gone through a beating that it has never had to deal with before. So I think one of the first things we have to do within the health sector is to get our health professionals comfortable again, because they are at the point where, when you're demoralized, you're not going to do anything.
Like
And that is
doctors are
where
contracting.
exactly something as simple as that, where we have the opportunity. And again, it goes back to Mr. Duke being a union person who knows about making people permanent, and instead of going doing the contract, going on to the permanent public service and that kind of thing. So within health, that is going to be our first priority, to ensure that our health professionals know that that level of what we were experiencing before, we really apologize for that, but we are here to build the sector now. And we are going to work with you to build the sector, to build your confidence so that you can then give your all. That's one of the first things we have to work
Because
on.
when you have a doctor on contract, he doesn't know if he will get his contract, so he's looking for work somewhere else.
Exactly, and it's not even a long-term contract. These professionals have been given 1 year You can't go to bank. You can't go to a bank. You can't do
And get a
anything
loan,
with
no?
a contract. That's a year, 2 years. You can't. So even if we are giving contracts for whatever reason, it needs to be longer term than what we are doing now. It
Because
really isn't.
you politicians there in the assembly, you guys just get voted in, but then next 3 months you guys start to build a massive house because you get a letter
Uh,
proving that you explain that.
Exactly. No, but that is true. You get a letter saying that you are employed for 4 or 5 years, and you take it to the bank, and the bank accepts it. A
Million
doctor
dollar
could be
loan.
exactly, a doctor could be making no matter how much money. If your contract is only a year, no bank is going to accept that contract to allow you to get to build. But that's the thing. That is not even just in the medical field. That is right through the THA. Right through the
I
THA.
know.
Most of the employees in the THA are under contract and are under short-term contract, which is that is demoralizing. It is. Another thing that we have to work on, we have a quote unquote brand spanking new hospital that's now 6 years, 7 years old, that was
Use
designed.
the word old again. Old.
Well, in
Because
my, but it is the hospital that we have now. I was around working when it was commissioned. This is a relatively new hospital that we should not have all of the issues that we have now. So working with the people within the TRHA to ensure that we figure out all of the little things. I mean, we are at a point now where we are boasting that we have hot water working in the hospital, that we have air condition working in the hospital. I am thinking honestly, if I were the Secretary for Health, I would not be publicizing that we just got hot water
tell
and
me
air
this.
condition working in the hospital. That is it should have been working. I would have done that secretly and not
Yeah,
even
because
say anything about it.
hot water kill bacteria and stuff, So why we were just
What
using
was
cold
going
water?
on? Exactly, because it was broken before. So we have to now rethink everything that was part of that hospital system and rework what do we need to do to get it back up to the standard that it should have been. Because we are in a situation now that if anything really serious happens to you in Tobago, they have to fly you out to Trinidad. That can't be what is normal for us when we have a 6 year old hospital that we spent
And that was
millions of
happening for
dollars on.
all our lives, all our lives.
Exactly, exactly. Now, the other thing too is because we have that issue in the secondary care, which is in the hospitals, we definitely need to ensure that our primary care, which is the health centers and so forth, become wellness spaces. Now, we have a situation where we have health centers that half of the time you cannot get the full service of the health center available. The doctor isn't there, the druggist isn't there, and so forth. So we would have to restructure how we work with these health centers to ensure that we have services that are available 24 hours if need be in Charlottesville or Roxborough or wherever,
Or
and
Pembroke.
or Pembroke, or and ensure that we use the other spaces as wellness centers. So you know that you are not just going to the health center when you feel sick. You are actually going to this wellness space as part of you remaining healthy. So you could go there and do exercise classes. You could go there and learn how to do cooking and healthy cooking and nutrition and that kind of thing. Those are the kinds of
Oh,
things we need
marvelous,
to work on
marvelous.
within the community. And if we do that within the communities, we would have less people then going up to the hospital because we would have healthier people generally in the community. So I think those are the three top things that I would work on. Gloria Belfont said, Dr. Faith, we need to have you back. This has been very insightful. Gives me hope that I could return home with good things to look forward to and be able to make a contribution. Yes, certainly. And we need everybody. Everybody who is out, you all need to come back. We need the help.
One more question.
Mm-hmm. Which one
One
is
more
that? No,
question. Can we get one more question?
yes, Cindy, yes, yes. Miss Cora Pantin, that's an excellent point. Okay, so I'm not sure how far back that was when Cindy made that comment.
Well, Dr. Fade, listen to me right now.
Mhm.
We have had a very powerful and interesting evening.
Yes,
An evening that we could say, thank you, Lord, right? Thank you, Lord.
exactly,
An evening
exactly.
that we could say, thank you, Dr. Faith, for giving us this space where we can understand politics some more,
Hmm.
understand what is required of a politician some more,
Right.
understand where young people are going from here, understand where we are in education.
True, true.
Dr. Fed, you have to come back. You have to promise this audience that you are going to be back sooner than you could ever think.
I have no problem with that whatsoever, certainly.
And I
Hmm.
know that we are being blessed and we are better for it from what you have said to us. Can we see about two more questions? We're going to go until 10 more minutes.
Sure, I don't have a problem with that at all.
I know,
Let's see
but
here.
I'm talking to the engineer. I'm talking to the engineer.
Producer.
And
Huh. What can people learn from the Dr. Faith B.Yisrael brand?
brand, listen, your brand.
Um, I think that we could do anything. I firmly believe
Amen.
that if we put our minds to it, it doesn't matter how difficult it is, there is an answer to everything. There is an answer to everything. I firmly believe that. And sometimes it requires us thinking outside of where we are or looking outside of where we normally look for solutions. But that has been my philosophy that there is an answer for everything. We just need to figure it out. I think if young people could continue thinking like that, don't give up at all. There is always an answer. There is always an answer that we could work towards and make whatever the situation is better.
Well, tomorrow is Saturday. I think someone's supposed to be doing Saturday, but we may take a rest because on Sunday evening, we are going to have the marvelous politician and businessman, father,
Hmm.
and true Trinidadian. Yes. And his name is Philip Alexander.
Oh,
He
you're
is
having
the leader. Oh, yes, I got him. He's
okay.
the leader of the PEP,
PEP. Yes, I can't remember exactly what PEP stands for, but yes, PEP.
People's Empowerment Party, I think.
Party. Okay, okay.
Yes.
Hmm.
So it's all about people. Everybody going with the P, People's National Movement, PDP, everybody going with a P. So we are here powerfully getting some of the best because we want to teach people what politics is all about. We want to
Yes,
teach
yes.
people that behavioral science is a personal, yes, is a personal gift and talent.
Hmm.
You know, the science behind behavior, it could stretch so far.
So true, eh? So true. I know that is
Yes.
what I study. That is what my doctoral degree is. Behavioral and
Really?
community health sciences. Yes.
Well, look at
Uh-huh.
that.
Mhm.
This is how sometimes things work when it comes to me because, as I said before, I am guided by the spirit of truth. I deal with
Mhm.
the truth. So, Dr. Faith B.Yisrael, love in the house, love
Thank
from
you.
everybody. Somebody is saying here now another question for you.
Janelle Hills. It's a statement. This was very
Yes, or statement.
informative. I am really inspired and educated with your mindset. It is a blessing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, man.
So, can
Thank
the
you.
engineer bring up some more of
Yes,
things
there's
like
a
that?
question here. What keeps Dr. Faith up at night?
Dr. Faith
I,
sleeps.
I do sleep. Yes, not much keeps me up at night, but I don't like advantage. I
Yes.
don't like people taking
Hallelujah.
advantage of other people. So I think I go out of my way to ensure that the underdog is taken care of. So more than often, if I am staying up at night, is to figure out how to ensure that that person who is being taken advantage of is dealt with, is have their
He's being
situation
held.
is being helped. Yeah, yeah, yep.
Any other thing?
Um, well,
So, Dr.
everything
Faith,
else.
I think I wore you out, but I know
Uh-huh.
that you're feeling good. And
I
I know
am.
that your mom, my schoolmate and my friend Lidmoy Brebner, yes. Lidmoy Brebner, was it surname there?
Brebna Dillon, yes,
Dylan,
yes.
yes. Mother Dylan, I know she's very proud of her daughter, her one child, that
She
she
said
had
she
a lot.
won black and
She had
chicken.
so many problems. She had so much problems, so many problems to get you into this world alive. Maybe you
Mm-hmm.
would have come and just go. But because of the hard work and the fight of your great grandmother and especially your grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
it was a battle, it was a fight.
Right.
And today we all have been blessed by who
Yeah.
the Lord gave to lead my brother. So may the God of all peace, grace, mercy, faith
Thank
in
you.
abundance, as faith is your name, that
Mm-hmm.
we, the people of the world, especially the people of the country, the people of Tobago, receive a blessing from your blessing.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
So thanks to the engineer. And
uh,
I know many of your schoolmates will be very proud of you.
mm-hmm.
And we're going to have other conversations like privately because there are some people that I want to mention to you because some people need to be in politics. We have a
Yes,
lot
yes,
of
yes.
nice, brilliant young people that they need to be in politics. They may not
Mhm.
be right up there, but they can be in the House of Assembly and they
Right,
could
right.
be people who you guys can
Our
use.
resource people. Yes,
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 certainly,
that could help.
certainly, certainly.
So
Mhm.
you are watching live with Mama Coco, a current affair program hosted by Cora Pantin. Yes, me, moi. Yes, moi. Yes. So more widely known as Mama
Mama
Coco.
Coco, yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So,
yes,
so
yes.
see what Gloria saying here.
Oh, Gloria is saying, what can be done to shift the mindset of Tobagonians from party politics rather than what is best for Tobago? I think that shift is already happening. I think that shift is
Yeah,
already happening,
yes, Gloria. What you
man.
think going on, Gloria Belfort?
It is already happening. Janelle Hill says Dr. Faith has a lot of energy. Keep her there. She's very faithful. Thank you. Thank you.
The engineer
Brenzo.
have something to do. So we have to leave some preference for the engineer because
Okay.
I don't want you using my life to make the excuse for what she's
For
supposed
what
to
she's
do.
supposed to be doing. Huh.
Yes.
Ha ha ha.
So see
Brenzo is
what
saying thank
Bruno.
you for your work during COVID-19. Oh, thank you, Brenzo. Yes, certainly, certainly. My
Do you know
pleasure.
who he is?
Yes, I do. I know him very well. Yes, yes.
Yes,
From
nice. Thank
Belgan.
you
Not
so much.
Belgan, from Goodwood.
Oh, thank you so much, Brenzo.
Hmm. Larina said, never give up. No, I don't.
Never
That's if
give
you know
up.
me, you know that's one thing I don't do.
Oh, she's a.
Never.
You didn't. What happened to you now, Lorena? You wasn't around when she was giving she whole journey.
Mm,
Say
mm, mm,
all alone. on my pilgrim journey. Savior, let me walk with thee. I said close to thee. Today is a nice day. And we
True.
enjoy this. So close to thee. Close to thee. Father God, today. Close to thee. All along on our pilgrim journey. Savior, let Brebna Israel walk with you. We're going to walk with you, God. We're going to talk with you. Because, Father, we know that you surround us. You are part of the mechanism that keeping us clean, faithful, and whole.
Yes.
And we thank you, God. I thank you for my audience. I thank you guys for being here with us and getting the question, understanding where we're coming from, and understanding our journey.
Thank you.
Dr. Faith, you have to come back.
I will. Just let me know when. I will make myself available.
Somebody's there's a question. If you are liking, that's mine. If you are liking the program, please leave Mama Coco's positive review on this page.
Yes, certainly. And tell everybody about this page. Tell everybody about what Miss Cora is doing, because this certainly is a blessing. Certainly.
So I say good night to your stepfather. Good night to all your close friends and family. And whatever you are going about, may it happen swiftly and very judiciously. Hello.
True.
With not much fuss.
True. Thank you, man. Thank you very much. Love y'all too.
Lorena, love you too, baby girl. She's so sweet.
Thanks for such a vibrant and educational discussion. We have learned a lot. Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much. Sing Queens. Well, some of us could sing.
Oh, she hummed well the while. She did it good. I was feeling the hum.
Oh gosh.
You see, this is what growing up in an Anglican church can do for you. It leaves you grounded with songs of
exactly.
praises.
So true, eh?
Yes, this is what going to an Anglican school did for me.
Certainly.
And you went to Anglican schools also.
Yes,
you were undergraduate time, right? Yes, you were under Father Gazette. That stop la, don't la in this church. Don't la, learn the words. Learn the words. This is not a la song. This is a song with words. Learn the words. So peace, everybody. Have a blessed and wonderful evening, a blessed and wonderful night, a blessed and wonderful morning, because Alicia is now experiencing morning.
Amen.
Peace.
Hey. Bye.
Cheers on the weekend. Hip, 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 hooray. Another one down. This is the second. This is the second show on my new program. The other person would be Mr. Philip Alexander. Peace.